When you are going to perform an act, remind yourself what kind of things the act may involve. When going to the swimming pool, reflect on what may happen at the pool. Some will splash the water, some will push against one another, others will abuse one another, and others will steal. Thusly, you have mentally prepared yourself to undertake the act, and you could say to yourself, I now intend to bathe, and am prepared to maintain my will in a virtuous manner, having warned myself of what may occur. Epictetus. No matter how hard we try to prevent bad things from happening to us, some will happen anyway. We could pretend like life will always be fine and dandy. However, we risk setting ourselves up for disappointment when reality sets in. Therefore, in order to foster a sense of calm and inner peace, we must be willing to contemplate how the future might not go according to plan. While doing this may sound counterintuitive to living a happy and meaningful life, some of the most driven figures in history, such as the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, incorporated pessimistic thinking in their daily routine as a way to remain tranquil and emotionally resilient. This video will examine the benefits of pessimistic thinking and how it can help us deal effectively with whatever life throws our way. Before I talk about the benefits of pessimistic thinking, let me first define what I mean by it. For those who have read the works of William B. Irvine, you might have heard about this practice before under the name of negative visualization, a process that involves imagining what you believe to be the worst-case scenario that could arise from a particular event. For example, if you are training for a marathon, consider the possibility that you will not finish it because of injury or exhaustion. If you are preparing for a presentation, reflect on the prospect of your audience laughing throughout it and you receiving a failing grade. You may think this kind of thinking will lead to feeling depressed all the time, but this is far from the case. The point is not to continually obsess over what could go seemingly wrong, but instead have, using the words of Irvine, a flickering thought about it. Unlike being a pessimist, you are not under the impression that bad things are guaranteed to happen, but have an understanding that it is possible. Now let's get back into some of the reasons why pessimistic thinking is actually a good thing. Firstly, it helps us become vigilant that things may not always go according to plan. Perhaps you reflect every morning that your new business may close down. Considering the possibility that it could close can drive you to come up with preventative measures that will not allow such an event to happen. It could force you to work harder than you ever have before and avoid you from cutting corners, since doing so could lead to short-term and long-term loss. Another benefit to pessimistic thinking is that if you think of the bad stuff that could arise in the future, it will lessen the impact on us if they do in fact happen. This process can help soften the shock so that you won't feel crushed if things don't go your way. You will also realize that life goes on, and that even if the worst does happen, it is survivable. Will you remember this event 10 or 20 years from now? Probably not. If you do, there is a chance that you were able to grow in a profound way from having to deal with it that benefited you in the long run. I'm reminded of a friend who, after graduating with his PhD, was unable to find a job as an adjunct professor. Though we spent many years putting in the work, no one would even give him an interview. While at first he felt defeated, he then reframed this inability to find a job as an opportunity to explore another creative outlet, that being YouTube. Now, he has a channel that is approaching 1 million subscribers and is loving what he does. If he would have found a job in academia, he would have never explored his options and become a successful YouTuber. Therefore, we should keep in mind that everything happens for a reason, even if we can't see that reason right away. The third and perhaps most important benefit of pessimistic thinking has to do with gratitude. One of the reasons why we are so unhappy is because we get bored of what we have. For example, we may become excited by a promotion or a new car, but soon get tired of them. We see this issue with lottery winners. While at first having this new influx of money leads them to make big purchases such as mansions or expensive boats, they end up eventually being just as happy as they previously were because their desire for more has shifted in a different way. Rather than feeling like their small apartment isn't good enough, they develop the same attitude towards their new living conditions. How does one avoid this desire for more from taking over? Start considering the possibility that one's possessions can be taken at any time. Possessions can come in a number of forms. They can be linked to reputation or material things like laptops and televisions. Contemplating the possibility of losing our job or wealth allows us to be grateful for what we already have. All of a sudden, that phone we have serves us just fine. We don't need the newest version because our neighbor has it. The philosopher Epictetus goes as far to say that we should consider the possibility that our children may not make it to the next day. This is not a cruel way of thinking, but an exercise that forces us to not postpone telling them how much they mean to us. We should also think about our own mortality by briefly reflecting at the end of the day about how our time on this earth is not guaranteed. Doing this will allow us to not only give thanks every time we wake up in the morning, but will help motivate us to not put off meaningful pursuits to the future since we don't know how long we will be around for. To conclude, pessimistic thinking can help console us when life becomes too difficult. While we should avoid becoming pessimists altogether, since doing so will lead to a very bleak view of the world, we should take periods at some point each day to consider the worst. While we cannot control the future, we will come to value what we already have and learn to make the most of whatever is thrown our way. Thanks for watching.